Hello everyone, welcome to this RBI Grade B Phase 1 special session where we are going to analyze the English section of Practice Mock Free Mock 1, right? So what are we going to do today? Let us list that out first. You see, first of all, at what stage we are in. Today we are not at a preparation stage, because that's over, right? In another 12-13 days the exam is there. So today our main target is not to prepare but to get the maximum out of our capabilities so that we clear the phase 1 with flying colors, right? That's our target. Now for this particular mock, the free mock 1 of practice mock, how does that target translate to? That translates to a 20 plus score, a minimum 20 plus score in English language section, right? In the less than 25 minutes that you get for that particular section, you should have been able to score 20 plus. Now, as I went through the analysis of this paper, I saw that majority of students have scored around 13, 12, 14. The average lies between 10 to 13. So, which essentially means that majority of the students are not able to fully take benefit of their knowledge, because in this particular mock you could have scored easily 20 plus, and today we will see how, and by the end of today's lecture we will see how we can replicate it in every subsequent mocks and in the final phase 1 paper. Okay. Also, what we will understand in the process would be the ideal time limit that you should have given to each one of these questions, because it's a time limited paper and speed is important. So you cannot get stuck on a particular question for long, right? So you should have an idea about how much time you are supposed to give to each one of those questions. So that we will also discuss. And why are we doing so? Because ultimately I told you, at this point preparation is not our target. Our target is to score so high that we easily clear the cutoff of phase 1. Now last year it was 66.25 or 67 kind of, right? In this paper you could have easily gotten 80 plus. So for this paper the target was 80 plus. The cutoff might be lesser, at 70 also you can get a clear phase 1 might be in this paper, but what was definitely possible, we should at least get that, right? So that there is no doubt about whether we will clear phase 1 or not. So that's our target. That 80 plus target in this mock would come how? If we are able to get 20 plus in English language section or a little more, then that would definitely push us towards that 80 plus target. Obviously, you will get to know about how to score well in the other sections like quant, reasoning. In GA, you already saw a day before yesterday. So I hope that you are following those lectures, right? In quant reasoning, how would you score? That would also come in a day or two. So through these you will understand how to score in those areas so that you can get that overall 80 plus score. But at the end of the day, that also means that in English language section you should get a decent score, which is 20 plus in this particular case. Now let me caution you here, because this, when I say target, people generally in a generic way make a target for everything. That should not be the case. See, the target score would change paper to paper from difficulty level of the paper. If we see previous year to previous year, the cutoff was a little more, whereas previous year the cutoff was less, right? So what changed? The difficulty level of the paper changed. So obviously your target would also change. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't target anything. You should target to get whatever you are capable of in that particular paper. You should not score less than your capability. That's our target, which incidentally in this mock in English section is 20 plus or maybe more than that, which we will see. Okay? And finally we will discuss what to do in the next 10 days. Next 10 days is very crucial. What you should do, because preparation is not important at this point of time. Learning new concepts is not important at this point of time. At this point of time, what is important is your ability to score, your ability to match your capabilities, right? So if you are capable of getting 22 and you are getting a 10 or a 11 or a 12, which most of the students who have taken this mock have got, then your target is to bridge that gap of 10 marks. And then only your whole corpus would be solved, right? Okay, so let's start. So let's talk strategy first. Now, why strategy first? You see, what we talked about maximizing our scores. We talked about utilizing the time, the limited time that we have for this English language section in a way so that we get the best benefit out of that time. Now, that would not happen if we do not have a plan and if we do not execute that plan in the right way. So what is strategy? Strategy is that plan. A plan to attempt that paper, right? And also some other aspects of your attitude, of your character, which you need to remember, because only having a plan would not help you until and unless you execute it properly. Okay, so let's see. First thing in the plan is to give time to go through the paper and fix an order of attempt. That means that we are not to take the paper from question number 1 to question number 25 or 30. We are to take the paper in a way so that it complements my strengths. It complements the scoring pattern in that particular paper, right? Okay, and for that, you will have to give time to go through the paper, glance through the paper and fix an order of attempt in this particular section. And then the second thing, read instruction carefully before attempting the questions. Now, this is very important, my dear friends. A lot of time, because there is time limitation, people panic, and in their panic, they end up not reading the instructions. It has been asked which is not the synonym, they mark what is the synonym. Right? These kind of mistakes happen, and these are careless mistakes that were avoidable with just a little more concentration. You did not need extra time investment, but just a little more concentration. So whenever you are solving a particular question, you should be only invested in that particular question. You should not think about something that you have done earlier, or you should not think about something that you are going to do next. Yes, obviously, there would be a time limitation for every question. And therefore, this attitudinal component that I am talking about, be ready to leave questions if time is overshooting, even if you are good at those. This is also very important. As a matter of fact, 2 and 3 together forms that part of your attitude that can make or break your paper. Why? Because you should have an understanding, an idea about how much time you should take to solve this question. Let's say in your mocks, you normally attempt those questions in 30 seconds. So you will have an average time of 30 seconds for that. Now, in the paper, you are giving 45-50 seconds, but still you are not able to solve it. That means that you need to leave those questions as of now. Maybe come back later on if time permits, but at this point, you should leave it, right? So these two things go hand in hand. We should be concentrating fully on the question that we are solving, but we should also be aware of the fact that if we are overshooting on the time, we should leave that question and move on to the next question. Okay? Right? Now, final thing, which is also a part of attitude, do not get emotionally involved with questions, my dear friends. Questions are like buses. One would go, another would come. So you do not need to be all invested in a particular question, that yes, this question I have already done so many times. Why would I not be able to do in this question? And that's not only for English, that's for every other section too. Just because you have done that question earlier and it's not clicking at that point, leave it. Just don't bother about it. There are another 50 questions, 60 questions waiting to happen for you. Why to waste your time in this? Because time is limited, na? Right? Okay. So these are the 4 things that you need to understand. So let us make a plan of this paper. So what will be our target while making a plan? This is a time driven, time limited, speed driven paper. So our plan would be dependent on speed and then on accuracy, meaning high speed, high accurate items will be our priority 1 question. That means that we will do those questions first. Okay? Then those questions which are high speed and medium accuracy. Okay? So this is the way we will have an understanding of the paper when we glance through the paper and then decide which question to be taken on which priority, priority 1, 2, 3 and so on. Okay? So chalo, let's see. The types of questions that this paper had in English language section were these 4. There were 2 RCs, 13 question number 81 to 93. 6 question, 7 question passage. Okay. There were idiom and phrasal verb usage 5 question. Sentence connector 6 questions. Close test 6 questions. Okay. Right. So these were the total 30 questions, 25 minutes you had. So to have this idea, on the rough sheet in front of you, you would take maximum 2 to 3 minutes because you will just glance through the types of questions. From the types of question, you will have an understanding that how much time you take to do questions of this category, right? For example, my attempt order in this would have been based on the speed that I have in these particular kind of questions. Also in generally the speed that you take to solve these questions. For example, idiom and phrasal verb usage are 20-seconder questions. So they would come in the first category. High speed question, and because we have been studying for the last 1 year or so, your word repository would also be very good. So you would be more often than not accurate in this, right? So that was our first category. Second category, close test. 30 seconds per question. Close test is multiple fill in the blanks in 1 paragraph. Okay. So on an average, if there are 6 questions on that, 3 minutes and you would be done with it. So that's the time you should take to do close test, 3 to 4 minutes at the max. So close test, second category. Third category, sentence connector. Fourth category, RC. So sentence connector, we will see the types of questions. You must have gone through this paper and you have seen what kind of sentence connectors are there, because even in the sentence connectors were small, not very long sentence connectors. They would take hardly 40 seconds to do, right? Obviously, you can replace third category with fourth and fourth category with third if you want, right? Okay. Whatever I am taking as an order is not the best for everyone, but it is one of those orders which will help you maximize your score. And for people like me who would take less time in these, right? And this is the best order. Okay. Now, does that mean that we are not doing RC? No. I will show that to you, that we will get so much time to do RC that you will have very high accuracy in RC because of that. Okay. For example, RC, I would give 5 minutes to each RC, and that is more than enough. They were not very big RCs. They were standard RC size. 5 minutes, 6 plus 7, 13 questions. 10 minutes, 13 questions. Now you might feel, oh my God, sir, you have already taken 2 to 3 minutes here to decide this. And apart from that, you are saying that you will still be left with 10 minutes after you have done with these 3. Yes, my dear friends. And I will show that to you. So in this lecture, I am going to now show how we could have done this within a time period where you would have at least 10 minutes to do these 2 RCs. Right? And that's why this slide is the most important slide of today's lecture, because this is going to set a tone for whatever you do in the next 10 days. As a matter of fact, this is also going to make you prepared for what you are going to do in the paper itself. Okay? Chalo, let's start with the questions now. I'll do all the non-RC questions and I'll show you how much time they would take. For example, this one. Here, idiom has to be replaced. Okay? Now, we will need to walk it to the boss. Now, this is wrong. Right. So what would be the right one? Run it past the boss, right? Run it past the boss. So that's what is the right idiom. Now here in idiom, if you don't know the meaning, you will not be able to attempt. by that logic also, if you are done through the first 5 questions and you are only able to do 2, you are done with those 5 questions. You do not know the meaning and therefore you will not be able to attempt them. But you are done with those 5 questions in the first 2 minutes only. Okay. Now, next question. So, 20 seconds, this question would take 20 seconds. Here I would give 2 time period. This question, cumulative time period. Because this was the first question that we did, 20 questions. Now, 20 seconds. Next. Grants are being offered to farmers who agree to turn around their land. Now, turn around is to, if something is falling, you make it successful again, that is turn around. Now, this does not make sense in this context. What makes sense is turn over the land. You have to sell off the land or give it away to someone. So, turn over is the right word, right? Very easy. Again 20 seconds. Cumulative time 40 seconds. Next question. 96. Unfortunately, the short-termism of subsequent governments has seen the program weather out. Now, weather out, wrong usage. It would be which one? Wither away. Wither away is to get depleted over time, get eroded over time. Okay. So, that is what should come. Wither away should be the right usage in here. Now, if you see, your knowledge of word is important, but this is again a fill in the blanks kind of question involving idioms. Nothing but that. So, 1 minute and 3 questions over. Next. The thing did not move, yet I had the feeling that it might at any moment jump out the throne like a worm and creep towards me. So, by worm and creep, it cannot be jump out. It would be jump off, crawl off, spring off, hop off. Only crawl off can come. Only crawl off can come because worms would crawl off. If it's like a worm, even if it is not a worm, it's like a worm, it would crawl off and not jump off or spring off. So, only B makes sense. Again a 20-second question. It would not take more than that. So, the next one. Question number 98. Everyone was sitting, staring at their laptops, at bridge tables or completely sacked out on couches. Sacked out means lethargically sleeping, lethargically not doing anything. Okay. So, no improvement required in this case, E. So, 20 seconds again and you are done with the first 5 questions. So, this set you can get 5 out of 5. Cumulative you can get 5 out of 5. Chalo, even if not 5 out of 5, at least 4 out of 5. At least 4 out of 5 was possible, definitely. Okay, right? With the kind of reading that you must have done over the past 1 year, these were all very simple idioms. You should have answered all of them correctly. Next, the closed tests. This was the closed test and they were each question based out of each one of these blanks. So, let's see. Question number 105. Human history at last took off around 50,000 years ago at the time of what I have termed our great leap forward. The oddest definite signs of that leap come from East African sites and the first preserved jewelry. Now, here the problem is it cannot be oddest. Out of these options, it seems that we are talking about the time. So, time, it can only be earliest. So, our answer A should come. Okay? Our answer A should come. Next. Now, question number 106. Which part it was? Thereafter, the garbage blank at archaeological sites rapidly becomes more and more interesting and leaves no doubt that we are dealing with biologically and behaviorally modern humans. So, here we are talking about archaeological sites in the previous lines. So, preserved would be more relevant than conserved because conservation goes with nature, trees, stuffs that are related to nature, whereas history, buildings, these are preserved. Okay, so C would be the answer in this case. Next, question number 107. Cro-Magnon garbage heaps yield not only stone tools but also tools of bone whose suitability for shaping, for instance, into fish hooks has apparently gone unrecognizable by previous humans. Wrong grammar. Has apparently gone, what it should be, unrecognized would be the better one. Unrecognizable does not fit in there as parts of speech. So, unrecognized should fit in there. D. Next. 108. Tools were produced in diverse and distinctive shapes, so modern that their functions as needles. Now, here needles, awls, engraving tools and so on are obvious to us. So modern makes sense because we are able to understand without any effort. That means they were almost modern tools. So we do not need to change this word. So modern makes sense is the right one. Question number 109. Then instead of only single piece tools such as handheld scrapers, recognizable multi-piece weapons include harpoons and eventually bows and arrows, the descendants of rifles and other multi-piece modern rifles. It cannot be descendants. Bows and arrows would be predecessors to rifles. They cannot be descendants. Descendants is something which comes after. So rifle came later, na. So bows and arrow cannot come after rifle. So precursor would be the right word. D would be the right word. Question number 110, the last one of closed test. Remains of houses and sewn clothing. Proof, wrong parts of speech. There should be something of a verb kind of. Okay. So remains of houses and sewn clothing demonstrates, evident wrong parts of speech. Incorporate, incorporate can come, and testify as parts of speech can come. Okay, all verb. Evident is eliminated. Demonstrates cannot come grammatically because remains is plural, so you should have a plural verb. This is singular verb. So between incorporate and testify, testify is a better word, right? Because remains of houses, sewn clothing, testify or prove, PROV, prove that to greatly improved ability. Incorporate is you include something. That is not the sense in which it has been used, F has been used. So testify would be the word. Now we are done with 6 questions of closed test. See, and how much time you should have taken for the whole thing? 3 minutes at the max. The last set was 1 minute 40 seconds. This was 3 minutes. I think in this set you could have got 5 out of 6 correct. As a matter of fact, I would say in this set at least 6 out of 6 could have been got correct. Okay, chalo. Together, both the sets together, I can assume 10 out of 11 you should have got correct. This is something that was possible. And how much time, dear friends? 4 minutes 40 seconds into the paper and you are done with 10 questions correct. See this, right? This is the beauty of plan. Now, the last 6 questions that we will do today is of the connectors, right? So, connectors, vaccination for children. Acha, what is the instruction? Select the phrase from the given 3 option which can form a single sentence from the 2 sentences given below implying the same meaning as expressed in the statement above. Given options may or may not be starters. May or may not be starters. So, it can be in between, it can be at the start. Vaccination, so what are the 2 statements? Vaccination for children will help protect them as schools have reopened. It will go a long way in assuring worried parents. Okay? So, by first one, while vaccination for children will help protect them as schools have reopened in many places, right, it will go a long way to, it does not make sense now. While is for contrast, while is for opposing ideas. So, vaccination will not only help protect children, but it will also help in assuring worried parents. That is what we want to mean. How can while fit in here? While cannot fit in here. So, 1 is eliminated. We are left with only 2 and 3. So, by the given options, we can only mark C and move ahead, but still I would check it out just to be sure. Okay. Moreover, it will, vaccination for children will help protect them as school have reopened in many places. Moreover, it will go a long way. So, additional, right? It is adding to the benefit of it. Same thing with additionally. It would come in between and additionally it will go a long way in assuring worried parents. So, both 2 and 3. C is the answer. You could have done within 40 seconds. Because you had no option, you could have done within 20 seconds the moment you had eliminated this. But chalo, let me give you the benefit of doubt. You are not confident, you did not mark it. Still 40 seconds was more than enough. Next one. The executive need to exist and cooperate for the rule of law to prevail in the nation. There appears to be a growing tendency to disregard and even disrespect court orders by executive. That means opposite thing happening. Executive is responsible to uphold the orders of court, but it is not doing so according to B. So, there would be opposing keywords. So while the executive needs to assist, there appears to be a growing tendency to disregard. Makes sense? So one makes sense. Acha. Why? The executive needs to assist. However, there appears to be a growing tendency. Again, opposing, contrasting. Makes sense. Acha. Only 1 and 2 is not there. So obviously, answer would be E. So you can very safely mark here and move ahead. Chalo. If you have doubt, check it out. The executive needs to assist, but there appears to be a growing tendency. Again, a contrasting idea connector. So you have got it. So again, a 40 seconds is at the max, and you are done with this question. Question number 101. The British government in India has not only deprived the Indian people of their freedom, but has based itself on the exploitation of the masses and has ruined India economically and politically, culturally, spiritually. India must sever the British connection and attain Purna Swaraj or complete independence. This will come later on, and as a fallout of what has happened in A, B would come as a fallout of what has happened in A. So therefore India must sever, makes sense. So India must sever, makes sense. However, India must sever is a contrasting one, is an opposing one. This cannot come. So only 1 and 2 can come. So therefore B should be the answer. Again, 40 seconds was more than enough for this question. Okay. Next. Question number 102. Kashi is the place to find moksha or liberation of the soul. One of the names Kashi is known by is Avimukta, to emphasize on why one should never leave this place. Okay. So there is relationship, a causal relationship. So see, consequently one of the names, therefore one of the names, and since Kashi is the place to find moksha, one of the names Kashi is known as. So all causal relationship, 2 in the middle, 1 in the at the starting. So all 3 of them make sense. So E would be our answer. We will have to identify whether the relationship is causal or they are contrasting in nature. Based on that, we will have to identify whether the given options, keywords in the given option, connector keywords in the given options are rightly placed, and your job is done. Okay, right? Next. And side by side, I am also giving you how much time you should have taken for each one of these questions. That gives you an idea that beyond that time, if you are giving to these questions, you are literally wasting your time. Question number 103. Japanese students led the world in math and science course. Many in Japan suspect that the nation's unrelenting focus on school book academics might be an outdated approach. These are opposing ideas, na? They are good students, but many in Japan suspect that these are they get due to outdated approach. So while Japanese students lead the world in math, many in Japan suspect, makes sense. Contrasting idea ke liye, while makes sense. Although Japanese students lead, many in Japan suspect, makes sense. Japanese students lead the world in math scores, because many in Japan suspect, this makes no sense. We'll have to have contrasting idea keywords. Causal idea keywords would not do. So therefore only 1 and 2 would be my answer. Clear? Okay. Again 40 seconds question, 8 minutes. We are done with 16 questions. Last question of this type. Let's do it. 104. At the Yale School of Medicine, students are honing their powers of observation at the Yale Center for British Art. The School of Medicine students, doctors or wannabe doctors, are honing their powers of observation in art segment or art department. Students who study painting excel at noticing subtle details about a patient's condition. Now this is the reason, this is the effect, right? This is happening because this is the reason. Because they want to learn that subtle detailing wala part. So, at the Yale School of Medicine, students are honing their powers in art center. Moreover, students who study painting, makes sense kya? No, it doesn't make sense. Because students who study painting, yes, it makes sense. As students who study painting, makes sense. These are the causes, causal ones, right? So, this is D, only 2 and 3. Again a 40 second, check, right? Now that I have given you the solution to all the questions and especially the connector questions, let me give you a trick to do connector questions very fast. There are 3 types of connectors that are primarily there, majorly. One connector is causal, as I said, matlab cause effect wale connectors, just like this one. Then the other is contrasting, like but, however. So the situation should be contrasting in nature. And another is additional data, that means moreover, additionally, these kind of. So these are the three major kind of connectors. Read the sentences, identify their types and use the appropriate connector, and your job is done. It is almost mechanical and very fast. Even 40 seconds would be more than enough for you. Okay, right? So now you are done with this. Now let's see. You are at 8 minutes 40 seconds plus 2 to 3 minutes you had taken for going through the paper. This set, let me assume that you are not very comfortable with this set. Still 4 out of 6 was manageable in this set or not? 4 out of 6 was manageable, na? So cumulative till now 14 out of 17 was manageable. है कि नहीं? 14 out of 17 was manageable. अच्छा. Now let's add RC. RC, I said na 10 minutes is more than enough for those two RCs. If you have been trained in the ways I train you, like in speed reading, accurate reading, ERIC methodology, then you would be able to do this in 7 to 8 minutes, right? Okay. So chalo, let's say that you did it in 10 minutes. 18 minutes 40 seconds. And in RC, 10 out of 13 was possible, right? If you had read carefully, answered the questions carefully, 10 out of 13 was definitely possible. Then your cumulative comes to be 24 out of 30. 24 out of 30, and 24 out of 30 means 22.5 marks, right? So congratulations, you get 22 plus marks and you still have 3 to 4 minutes left. How? 18 minutes 40 seconds plus 2 to 3 minutes, 21 minutes. 21 minutes to 21 minute 30 seconds type. So you have a 25-minute paper, you have still 4 minutes left for in the paper. This is why I wanted to show you how to attempt the paper. Got it? And I told you at the start of the paper that 22 plus was easily doable in this. 20 plus was though definitely doable. Even 22 plus was easily doable. So what did we do and what does this mean for us? Let me show that to you. We saw that by making a strategy and following the time restraints, it can help us to maximize our score. It brings us closer to our capability, and that's what is required, na? You should be scoring what you are capable of. That's what we said at the start of this lecture, right? So if your capability is 22, you are getting a 10 or an 11 or a 12, not good, right? So this is not the time to think that whether your capability is 10 or 11. If you have prepared for the last 1 year, your capability cannot be 10 or even 11. It is time to think how to get the 10 and 11 to your capability score, which is 22. You saw, na, we could have scored a 22 plus score in this, na, right? So that's your target. So in the next 10 days, what you should do? Take at least 4 to 5 mocks and analyze them in the same way we did it, right? So learn question selection, strategy building through this process, the way we took it. Achha, what would you do? You took the mock, you scored yourself, then you again go back to the mock and attempt those questions which were left by you during the mock unattempted or which you got wrong. You see that after the reattempt, you see if there are questions which you could have done easily or you couldn't do because there were time limitation, that means your plan was not right. You did not take the priority 1 questions first. Or you did careless mistakes, that means that your attitude is not right, right? Both of these things are in your hands. You will have to do it. So do it. And once you do it, you will get better at scoring, because this is not something which would take a lot of time. Within 1 or 2 days, you can transform your scores from whatever you are to this 22 plus kind of scores. In a similar paper, obviously. The paper difficulty level should be similar. Okay? So this is the way you can replicate it, or rather better it on the day of exam, and that's what your target is. Okay? So with that, I will take your leave. Hope this lecture helped you and you make the most out of you. Thank you very much and all the best.